make sure we can support you. That's, I guess, where I'm coming from, is making sure that those increase. You know, I'd like to see those up there to the 90 and that 70% on the growth as well at Oregon. So whatever we need to do to get there, we're here to support that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Lori?
Thanks.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. It's warming up now.
It is.
Everyone's making you
Well, I'm
Sign up there.
I know, do you have
Yeah,
this is totally your world, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I'm sorry.
I'm sitting here going to AP and the GM,
Yeah.
thinking, oh, I have to have three acronyms. I know, right?
That's not a special ed presentation.
I can tell them that at some point. Yeah, the fact that you read, there was like 5 of them in a row that she like named. I'm like, wow, she does know all those names. I thought I would explain them.
All right. Well, let's move on to the wonderful Sartell Middle School.
All right.
Good evening.
I have with me 2 members of the Sartell Middle School Strategic Leadership Team tonight, and Carrie Ritter is a 7th grade mathematics teacher at the middle school, and Rachel Shalanka is an 8th grade math teacher at the middle school. So it's nice to have numbers people on the SLT. They're going to present our goals.
Right,
Well,
well,
this is a math lesson. That'd be more fun. All right, then we could do something with that. All right, so I am here to talk a little bit about our goals from last year and how we did with those goals. I like goals, I like setting goals. So our first goal was to talk about vocabulary, and we wanted to increase in the area of vocabulary by about 2%. And our actions that we took, we did some reading interventions classes, some co-talk classes, there's staff development, and then across curriculum we were looking at vocabulary that we could share. So it's not just the language arts teacher's responsibility, but we can share that responsibility. And what we found, as you said maybe, that our test scores in general across the state went a little bit down in reading. And that was because they're assessing the new standards. However, we were approximately 20%, give or take a little bit, above most of the state averages. So ways to celebrate, excited about that. And you can kind of see some of the results. The next goal was to work on problem solving, near and dear to my heart since I teach math. Of course, Miss Ritter loves it a lot too. You've heard of her problem solving in 7th grade, right? Okay, so anyway, and problem solving though was something that we wanted to look at. Again, everyone can take responsibility. Problem solving is not a math thing, although sometimes, you know, you end up with a problem with 37 watermelons. Who really is going to have a 37 watermelons? But however, it's something that in every area, you know what, 37 watermelons. You've seen the problem before?
No.
Oh, I thought maybe not. I was going to talk about that. But anyway, what we have found out is that problem solving, you can work in the tech classes, they can be done in the language arts, in the social studies. There's a problem, it has to be solved. Your budget shows all kinds of, you know, good things, and there's problems, and you have to solve it. There's, you know, the boat doesn't work, what are you going to do? Your problem, you got to solve it. So we worked on that with the kids, and here's what we found out. We did some co-talk classes, math intervention classes. We talked about strategies, again, that all of us can share. We did a lot of common formative and summative assessments as math teachers and across curricular areas. Results. Well, here's what we like. The numbers.
Just one question. Just you're thinking about the word formative versus summative. What's
Oh
that
yes.
like?
Okay. Formative assessment would be maybe a question that I would ask the class at the beginning of class to find out information, what you know, what you not know. Summative assessment would be like at the end of the unit, the test. Did everybody understand what I was teaching them?
Those before in its summary.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah.
Glad you asked that question. All right. So maintain. Here's what we had. We had about a little over 1,000 people tested, or students tested in the middle school. 68.9% maintained. That means if we're talking about, there's the meets, the exceeds, the partial, and does not meet. 68.9% maintained the meet standards. We had 16.8 improved. That means they went from meets to exceeds. Huge. we had 14.5% decline. There's a goal. So here's what we found out. 2% of 1,071 students is 22 students, okay? We found out if we take the difference between the students, the improved scores and the decline scores, we have 25 students that improved. So we met that 2% that we wanted to set as our goal. We met that goal. And someone had mentioned again the individual student. They do. Every single student counts. And so you'll see with our goals this year, we're really looking at the individual students. Sometimes numbers are just numbers. Until you attach it to a kid, that's where my heart is. I look at the kid and I say, I want to help you with where you're at and how can I help you improve your score. So that is what we're looking at. Did I talk too much? Sorry, I don't know what to Okay, the third goal.
Just hit that.
Hit this?
Yeah, just hit this space.
Okay. Oh, okay. Are you doing that now? I think you did. Oh, okay. Well, here I am. We had a social emotional goal that we wanted to work with. And one of the goals that we looked at is transitioning kids from 4th grade into 5th grade. It can be stressful for parents and it can be stressful for the kids. And so we wanted to look at how can we help make that transition from elementary school to the middle school easier for parents and for kids. So there was a lot that was put in place. One of them was we had a meeting where the 4th graders came in and spent some time with the 5th graders, and that was in the spring. So they can kind of see what the middle school is like. Another thing that I have some of my advisees that are really excited about this is there are 8th graders that are mentors, we call them happy helpers, with the 5th graders. And so they spend their study hall time period going down and connecting with the 5th graders. The 5th graders love it, the 8th graders love it, and they had to apply. Not anybody could just be a happy helper, you had to apply for that. So that was really neat. And the third thing that we did is we had a separate open house for just the 5th grade parents and the students. And so there weren't the older kids, the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders that around. It was just those kids. And I think parents, we had a lot of really positive feedback from that. So I don't know if you got to be a part of that, but it was really cool for those kids and for those parents.
You know, I'll have to say out in the community, that was a concern always going from that 4th through 5th grade. And I just want to commend you for addressing that concern, because even like the mentoring, I'm a huge opponent of mentoring. I think that's really powerful. And on the day that you brought 4th graders into the middle school, I think released a lot of anxiety. Now, did you just do that with 1 or 2 classes, or did you do that with all the 4th graders that were involved?
All the 4th graders.
Wonderful. I just want to encourage that. I think that's really.
Yeah. I think they even ate lunch at the 7th graders that day, so they could kind of see what is lunch like, what's the comments. And having friends that had kids going into 5th grade, they were just so impressed with how the ease of it, and they got to meet with their homeroom teacher, and they divided them up in segments, so it wasn't even all of the homeroom teacher or all of the students in that homeroom. And
then having an only 5th grade parent night, did you find that really a wonderful solution also?
You know what? As the school is getting bigger,
right,
and when we have open house, and before we had 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, there's a lot of people in that building, a lot of 5th graders, as well as everyone else. So I think having that time just for those kids, it makes them feel a little bit better, because the older kids, maybe even on open house, want to go back and say hi to their 5th grade teachers. And having all of those extra kids in there is a little bit overwhelming for a 5th grader, and I think that just eased it. I don't know.
It always seemed like it was the hottest day of the year, too.
Oh, yes.
like that, don't you?
Yeah.
No, I think so too, because a little of the chaoticness and the excited energy that we have in those open houses, just having those 5th grade people not maybe experiencing a little bit calmer initial experience is a really good idea.
Yeah.
As a parent that has transitioned into the big school, there's a lot of anxiety in that. So any ideas we can to bridge that, I just support it.
Yeah, and I think we're even kind of looking at some ways even to reconfigure some of the other parts of our open house, because it was so successfsuccessful.
And like Saber Splash in the high school for the 9th graders coming in is such a successful program. That's something for those 5th graders and those 8th graders to mentor. I just really think there's some great opportunities there. Really.
Yeah.
I like how the thinking is the direction of it.
Yeah. All right, so that's, any questions about the goals from last year? Alrighty then. I can take it.
And I like to see the excitement about problem solving. I'm excited about it.
Oh,
Got
me
some problems
too.
for me to solve.
Well, we took the information that we kind of gleaned from last year's goals, and that was kind of the driving force behind our academic goals for this academic school year. Our first goal is to increase the performance in the areas of reading and mathematics through strategic and purposeful, and those are the key words, strategic and purposeful interventions. And the reason for the need really stems from the fact that 70% of our middle school students are proficient in reading based on MCA scores. That means 30% approximately are still struggling to meet those standards. And again, we point to that change in the assessment format from the year prior. Along the same lines, about 80% of our students are proficient in math based on MCA scores. And again, about 20% are still struggling to meet standards. There's a lot of words, I'll try to summarize. Maybe there are no words. So obviously there's a need to continuously provide supports for these students. We still have in place the big kind of interventions, the co-teaching classes, the flexible grouping, differentiation, the intervention classes specifically designed to work with the population of students not meeting the standards. But we really tried to, with this year, really make it personal. And so our focus this year is to really utilize that study period where we have an opportunity to work one-on-one with some of those kids. And so our teachers have individually taken under their wing one or two of those students, and then it's their goal this year to really provide those additional supports, whether it's socially, organizationally, and academically. And we're hoping that that little personal connection is going to make a big difference. Again, we'll look at our scores at the end of this year, hoping to see an increase in our proficiency scores, as well as using that MMR, particularly that achievement gap piece in that rating. Our second goal is to increase the understanding of Common Core ELA literacy standards, specifically focusing on embedding informational text reading skills and strategies across all curricular areas. Our English language arts classes are very versed in this, but this is really an umbrella set of standards that affect all content areas. And so our focus this year is to get everybody on board with teaching these particular reading strategies in their classes. Certainly that stems from a dip in our scores. Obviously we have areas that we can improve on in getting our kids to be really successful readers, not only in literature but informational text as well. And that just kind of goes along with preparing them to be career and college ready. Again, a lot of words. We just have a lot to do. Our action steps include, we just had teachers participate in a survey really to just get a feel for where are you at with what do you understand about Common Core, and then how far has that impacted your curriculum. So that was a survey that just went out to teachers. Currently, as Kay mentioned, content specialists are involved in themselves learning more about how this branches out into our curricular areas. And then our January in-service, the focus of that particular day will be Common Core ELA literacy training for all staff. We did think an added piece, it would be important for our teachers to actually experience that reading test. So as part of our training, we are going to have teachers take their grade level assessment just to get a feel for what kids are expected to know and be able to do. And the types of questions and that level of thinking that they're being tested at. That's how we should be teaching. We're going to use our survey data to certainly drive our next step decisions. And then we'll look at performance on that informational text piece at the end of the school year when students are assessed again. Our final goal is a site program goal and of course pertains to technology. We would like to purposely utilize purposefully utilize technology to enhance learning and communication while working toward moving up that SAMR model. It's a model for integrating technology, and it starts with a very low level, just substitution. And then augmentation would be implementing technology where you're enhancing in some way what you used to do. And then modification, you're beginning to transform what you've been able to do in the past. And then redefinition is the highest level of technology implementation, where you've redesigned what you're doing in your classroom. So obviously with the onset of full and increased access, there's certainly a need for staff development in this area. But our big focus will also be on best practice, not just simply implementing it, but how do we best use that tool, those tools. Like Kay had mentioned, our November 4th in-service was strictly technology focused. That was a very exciting day for everybody, but we really see the technology training as being an ongoing need to continuously provide support and research for our resources for our teachers. Schoology has been a big part of that. Not only is it kind of a housing place for data and a data bank for us to hold curriculum content, but also technology resources as well. It's a great place for us to be able to communicate and collaborate with each other and our students, and that's huge. Our measurement, how we're going to kind of report our progress on this, well, certainly our principal will be able to witness this walking through our classrooms on a regular basis. But the goal is to create some video vignettes of what this looks like in classrooms. So not only to give other ideas, but to offer resources to people in kind of a how-to type format. Our ITS, our instructional technology specialist, as well as a teacher team of technology specialists, and now recently a student team of technology specialists, are certainly helping to move our students and teachers forward in the area of technology implementation. So, and then we do intend to survey our staff and students at the end of the year to get feedback on where do we go, what can we do as we move
How is
forward.
that student technology group work?
It's interesting because the kids who have applied and been accepted to be part of that team are not maybe the kids that you would see on the basketball court.
That's what I mean, it gives another opportunity.
It is. It's very exciting to see kids that you wouldn't normally kind of bubble up, see that, and they're real proud of that, and they're very willing to help out in the
You
classroom.
have a lot of people, a lot of interest in helping out.
Yes.
A lot of interest, and I want to say there's about 12 kids. Is it?
I think there's 10 per grade.
10 per grade level. I was going to say 12 per grade level.
And if anything goes wrong in the classroom, they call themselves, they're the technology geniuses. I'm like, do I have a genius in the room? And they are
Right
now.
there.
I
Like,
love that.
yes,
Really.
I love it too.
Just give them right? Exactly. We all need a genius in the room, trust me.
Yes.
Oh, that's great to hear.
So, any other questions about the middle school?
The parents don't have to take the test, just the teachers do, right?
Just the teachers, unless you'd like to, then we can arrange that.
Thank you, Carrie Rachel.
Thank you very much.
And
Thank
then
you.
you would have the high school dean, Miss.
From the high school tonight, and from our strategic leadership team, we have Deb Rawlings from the art department and Terry Benson from our English language arts department, and they're very excited to share our progress and our goals from last year and our goals for this year.
Okay, I'm going to start and I'm going to talk about last year's goals. Our first academic goal last year, as you can see, our goal was to increase vocabulary by 10%. However, because of changes in tests and how the data was collected, we were unable to measure this one. And we just want you to know we're not moving away from vocabulary, but we are focusing on transitioning into the Common Core. And our second academic goal was met. It was to reach all 4 college readiness benchmarks to improve students' to at least 49%, and we did indeed reach that goal. And last year's building goal was achieved through training all teachers in MLA documentation and consistently implementing this across all the content areas.
You want to say what MLE is?
MLA.
Modern Language Association. It's the documentation that you use when you research any kind of research, whether it's written or spoken, needs to be documented. So that's the style. There's a few different styles, but that's the one we're going to focus on. Me? Okay, so I'm going to talk about the first two academic goals for this school year. Number one, and you'll notice some similarities with the middle school too. But our first academic goal for the year is to increase the understanding of research-based critical reading and critical writing skills, and the strategies for teachers to use in the classrooms across all the content areas. Again, we've heard a lot about this tonight, but the Common Core state standards have been embedded, and we're really focusing on those college and career readiness skills. To kind of give you an overview here, basically what we're going to do is provide some professional development with terminology that's Common Core, that everyone needs to be well versed in the Common Core. And we're going to focus on central idea, summary, conclusion, and inference, and using those terms in all of the content areas. For measurement, we started the year with a pre-test, or pre-survey, I should say, and just asking teachers of their basic level of understanding of the Common Core and how that's used in their classrooms. And at the end of the year, we'll look at a post-survey. We'll also look at measuring through the ACT and the PLAN test. And our second academic goal is to increase the percentage of students who meet all four areas of the college readiness, and moving from 49% up to 55% over the next 3 years. There's a lot of data here, and the numbers vary with the different contents, and with the English, the writing, the math, and the science. But the one that we're focusing on is that less than 50%, we're at 49%, and that's right here. 49% of students meet all four college readiness benchmarks. So that's the number that we're focusing on to move up to 55%. We are going to look at the ACT test, and we're really going to focus on the reading test, and I believe even starting as soon as Wednesday, looking at having staff just take portions of that reading test to make them aware of the rigor of the test, and also just to show all content areas how reading and that reading test is important in math and in science, and it's not just a language arts focus. And then we're also going to provide training and continual training with the new Ramp Up to Readiness program that's been implemented. So that's kind of the idea with the action steps. The measurement. The percentage of students meeting all four college and career readiness benchmarks will be all focused on ACT and the PLAN. And the PLAN is taken in the 10th grade. And then again, student surveys and staff surveys regarding how Ramp Up is going, the effectiveness and such with that program.
And then finally, our site program goal for this year. Our goal is to consistently integrate technology into all the classrooms, and we're doing this through Schoology and through different technology tools. And our data to support this goal. All teachers have been trained and have full access, as our students do, and we're using Schoology hopefully at 100% this year, and also incorporating technology into our daily lessons as it works for each class. And some things to highlight here. Tech Bites are something that we're doing at faculty meetings, and we're working on sharing ideas that seem to work for certain people, certain content areas, and we're sharing with all the different areas so that they can begin to grow on that. And we have technology coaches that are meeting, I think it's every other week at least, with our teachers to assist them, train them, and also sometimes coming into their classroom and helping with them. And then finally, measurement. You can see this slide. We're doing all of these things, staff survey, Schoology, learning walks by the administration, and we're finding this to be an effective use of our resources, and we're sure it's going to lead to some efficient and effective learning.
Thank you for all that information. It's good to see technology embedded in all of this. Does anyone have any questions?
No, and I guess I have a comment overall for Kate and for Mike, is the overall consistency between all the buildings. You see a thread of consistency in all those goals and everything, and just from an outside perspective, sort of looking in on this, it's just, that's amazing, considering I do a lot of planning on the business side of things. To see that common thread through everything, I commend you on that, because that is not easy to do. You make it look easy, but it's not easy.
And those will help the board as we put together our goals too.
Exactly.
So we want everyone to be on the same page. So thank you for that, everyone who did a presentation. It takes a lot of time and effort, and we appreciate it. All right, and you can feel free to leave if you'd like. Now that we've warned you.
You don't have to go. You can stay.
They're out.
All right,
Thank you.
let's move on to our action items. Action item 1 is to approve the official policy revisions 418, 422, 524, 601, 603, 613, 707, 802, and 902, which I'm sure you all read again, because this is our second and final time to do so.
I'll make a motion to approve 418, 422, 524, 601, 603, 613, 707, 802, and 902.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been motion and second to approve the policies as stated. Any comments? Okay, I have one, just a couple things, just so you know. On page 95 of the Internet Acceptable Use and Safety Policy and Procedures, just so you know, the internet, kind of the description of that was added last time. On page 122, there's just a little editing correction that Stacy's going to take care of, some colon/whatevers. And then there's also some spacing and checking on our, I think it was 902, where we're looking at, that I think we maybe looked at that in July 2013 as well, and then there need to be a spacing between the next date. So Stacy will fix those.
Oh,
all right.
Got it.
So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. Moving on to item 2 of the action items, approved personal omnibus resolution, my favorite area.
So moved.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the omnibus resolution. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Moving on to item number 3, approve the bond sale. And as we look at that, Mr. Spanier, do you want Steve to assist with this? Or would you like to take it?
That's my area of expertise.
All righty.
Last month, we approved the first sale of refunding bond to the tune of savings to our taxpayers of $1.2 million. Now we're asking for an additional refunding. And Steve, if you want to go over that with the board?
Yes, the last, we did 2 series of bond refundings to maximize. We had to split it out over 2 years, to the 2013 issue and the 2014 issue. And the 2013 issue, we saved $1.2 million. We had a targeted goal of at least $1.5 million. And when I say savings, I mean savings is we are going to be reducing our levy now that's going to be out with the implementation of these 2 adopted bond refundings. So the tax notice that's going out next week is going to be what we have in our proposed levy. We will now submit these, actually after Wednesday, because that's the technically final sale date. We'll mark it and put all of our pieces together, submit it to the state to reduce our debt service levy, which is the total overall savings of $1.6 million. This levy is the piece that's considered a 2014 sale. The reason we have to do it as a 2014 sale is because the bonds are not callable until February 1 of 14. And so we're pre-funding the 2014, 2018 bonds. We're refunding those and calling them as of February 1 when they're first due. And the interest rates you see here that are bringing us down to that 2% range with an overall of a 1.12 is basically about a 50% reduction because these bonds are in that 4% range when they originally issued in 2004. And so that's where the net savings is coming. So the previous one and this one, I had to get the sheets because it was just being finished up and done, but here's the general sale is that this saved us $428,000 for a total of $1.6 million over and within the timeline of our bonds, which we will be debt-free as of 2022.
You exceeded your goal.
Let me go down a little bit more.
Good job.
So I would invite a motion.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve the bond sale. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Hearing none, resolution stands as stated in the packet. I won't read through that. Let's move on to item 5 of the action items, approving the principal contracts, and we'll give that over to Krista and Steve with support.
In front of you, you got the summary sheet for your final contract with our principals. We met shortly after our last meeting, so they're, I'm sure, anxiously awaiting our approval tonight. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. As discussed, we went from a 7-step schedule to a 10, and I think everything else is in line with what we had chatted about last time.
Make a motion to approve the principal contracts.
I second.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve the principal contracts. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion passes. All right, moving on to discussion items, scheduling work sessions and committee meetings. I believe we already have a work
We do. the
session
second.
on December 2nd coming up, and that's when we'll be working on our goals. Committee meetings, policy is set for December 4th at 4:15. Ops and Finance talked about doing it right after that at 5:15. Would that work for you? That's a
5:30.
Wednesday. Jason?
What's it, December 2nd?
The 2nd is a Monday.
December 2nd is
I
our work session.
don't think it will.
Okay.
4:15.
You want to float a different?
Hold on a second, December 4th. No, that will not work. The following week would work.
Did we need something done before that, or were we good if we go into that?
We're fine, just the 18th, I'm gonna do some levy, the 18th is where all that proposed levy and stuff, we can review it.
Okay.
And all, put all this line.
I could do 10th, 11th.
You want to stick with the Wednesday? December 11th?
That would work.
And then we'll see if Michelle can attend. She's an ops member too.
Yeah.
Finance and ops.
What time are we looking at, Jason? What's the earliest?
Anything works for me.
Can we do like a 4:15 again?
4:15.
So I can get back into town. All right, and then CAA, did you already set another one?
Yeah,
We
that's-
did, yeah.
It was.
I was just looking on my calendar, I couldn't remember what day it was. Is it the 16th or 17th? No.
Okay, the curriculum committee meeting.
When are we meeting in December?
19th.
I was
December
close.
19th, it's
I had
a
it on
Thursday?
Yeah, at 7:30.
Right, the 19th.
7:30
The
a.m.
19th.
a.m.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
I know. Obviously, I'm just one person
Is it
on the
AM?
committee. Yes.
Oh, seriously, I was joking.
They're not, they're not.
All righty. And other committees that need to meet, or
I think we were looking at setting a board technology meeting.
for the whole board, or like a
No,
work session? or
No, the board committee, which is Jason
one actually.
and Pam and Kyle and Kay and I.
Okay.
We haven't set a date yet, but we were looking at a December possibility.
Okay.
So once you know that, maybe we'll just put it out there so
Mhm.
people, but December, it's gonna be a full December.
Mhm.
All right, are there other meetings we need to discuss? Okay, so then let's look at discussion item 2, official revision of policies. That says 614 and 618. We're gonna take 618 off the table for now. 614 you had in front of you, and I'm sure enjoyed reading that, was the school district testing plan and procedure. There's just a little bit of some revision in the date on page 255 that we're gonna clarify, but this is our first reading of it, so do you have any questions about that particular one?
No.
All right, then let's move on to item 3, official new policy adoption, 523 and 711. 523 is, I put mine together here. 523 is policies incorporated by reference, so it's just a full listing of all of the policies. So there's nothing real significant about that one. I do want to make note that we should probably remove the word model on policy 711 on that incorporated list of, because we're actually going to be approving that, so it won't be a model.
So are you talking about 7-Eleven?
She's talking about 523.
Oh,
right?
523.
On 523, it
Okay,
lists
got
model
it.
policy 711,
Yep.
and it should just read policy
Policy,
711.
okay.
And then policy 711, video recording on school buses, note that we added the word "and employees" in a lot of sections because our employees also ride those buses. So those would be about the only changes.
You know, I have a question about this policy, Mary.
Mhm.
So I actually don't know. But my question is, so this is a policy in which we have to have our bus company put in a box or something to contain a video recording camera, right?
And they actually do already have them.
My question is this an additional cost to the district or the bus company, which is a cost to us? And, you know, so I'm questioning where we're at with this in regard to our
They
bus
have the
company. I mean,
boxes,
this
and
is
sometimes we can do it.
expensive. I mean, I looked at this and I thought, you're gonna put video recorder in every bus?
No,
Yeah,
they won't be
ours-
in every bus.
That's important, just, I mean, we already have them, right? And
I don't know this, I'm just asking, I don't.
Yes, we have them. We've had VCRs. We've now slowly converted over. And I think we have 1 bus or 2 that we're finishing up this year to go to the DVR digitals.
Oh,
And then our
okay.
contractor is well aware of
That's my
aware of
question.
this, and they're putting them in as well because they not only contract for us, but they're also required to do it for all of St. Cloud. And all the rest they have there. So this is a standard norm in the industry now that.
This isn't
with
a law,
issues-
this is just a policy for the district.
Correct.
It's a policy.
Okay.
It's not a law. But you end up technically, because of law, needing the standard procedure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we
It's kind of
do,
the way it drives it.
Okay.
we do have other policies about the bus also, which outlines expected behaviors and what can happen if you're not.
And I get the video can protect us, protects our people and I understand that, but I just thought, I didn't know where we were at in the process and I thought, this is expensive.
No, that's a good question, because
Been
I don't think
over
everybody
years.
knows we already do that.
Yeah, I didn't know that, to be honest with you.
No, that's good. Am I going too quickly through this?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
All right, so those policies will come back through next time. And then the final one there, set organizational meeting for January 2014. So you guys had your first time with that this last January.
Right.
So typically it's the first Monday in January, which is the 6th of January. We usually meet at our usual time for board meetings, so that would likely be 7 o'clock in the PM that we would meet.
Thanks.
And then at that meeting, because I know Stacy did send out a notice about, we're going to have to adjust some, typically January, February, because President's Day, Martin Luther King Day, we work around that. And then just make note in April, I believe there's a Monday off following a holiday during that month. And so we're going to have to kind of adjust there too. So just be thinking about that.
And don't we go off-site for that
Right,
Monday
that's
one?
St. Stephen,
St.
April.
Stephen, so we have to just note that too.
Yes, okay.
So we're setting the organizational meeting right now?
Yeah, the
Yes, it'd be January 6th at 7 PM. Does that work? 2014.
6th. Scary, isn't it? Can't believe that.
Everyone also said that January meeting, because that's on the President's Day.
Well, we'll set it at the organizational meeting. We'll go through.
Because
the
we
whole
usually go the
list of
week after on that one, don't we?
I think it would normally be the 19th. It would be the 19th,
Right.
and we'll go to the 26th likely, just so people know that it would
Yeah.
be January 26th would be the typical board switch.
And then
Yeah.
we'll do the same thing in February, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing in February.
Push it a week, push it
Yeah.
a week.
Back. All right. We've done everything that was on our agenda, so I would invite a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mary. We'll just have to tell Michelle you're on efficient meeting. She gets it done under 2 hours.